right, good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Simtrax Broadcasting. Patrick Morrison coming to you live here as we work on qualifying here for the respective bumper 150 here at New Smyrna Speedway. Currently keeping an eye on Nick Nickerson here. I'm sure we'll see a bunch of him tonight, as I'm sure he'll be running in the top 5 in his new paint scheme. Glad to see him joining back here with us out there in the number 2, and all you guys out there in the chat as well. Especially Jay, looks like it has been a while since I've seen you knock down the number 1 and the very first comment out there. Appreciate you hanging in there with us. And we are going to have a blast here tonight in the late model cars. Currently you see Nick Nickerson, top of the chart there, very fast speed, able to beat out Jackson Knock. We are still holding our breath on the number 43 car as Jonathan Platt taking a provisional last week. He's going to be kicking it in here to see if he can take that pole position away. He has 4 laps to get it done. Lap number 2. And we are still holding 18:27. He's got to figure out how to make up about another 10th here, as he currently hovers right now in the 7th position. Lap number 3 here across the line for Mr. Platt. That gets him up to 6. This may be the first time we see him not take the pole at a time he has attended the race. Last week was all Curtis Yancey from beginning to end. And Jonathan Platt will be starting in the 6th position. First time seeing Jonathan Platt start outside the top 5. So any of you drivers or even the fans out there, pretty excited to see that. I know Robin Allen, as soon as she joins up here in just a moment, something to poke around about out there is Jonathan Platt. We'll actually see him get to race through the field. The only person we've seen actually race through the field is one of these drivers, Action Jackson, out here in the number 91 machine. Good paint scheme for him for the XEO machine. Let's see how he does. Currently sitting down in the 15th spot. Pretty sloppy here tonight with an 18:52. Going to be looking to see if he can come up with a little extra speed here. Trying to see if he can squeak on by. Got to come up with a little more speed. He does get just a hair, and I think it's just enough. That moves him up to 5th. Not bad. That gets him a good top 5 start. Expect Brandon Jackson to do a lot of big things here tonight, and especially tons of passing. About another 40 seconds left here in qualifying. I don't know for 100% certain if Mr. Benjamin Lacey that we saw race last week that got a little bumper there from Brandon Jackson, getting shoved into the turn there, lost and missed out on a P3 position. Ended up finishing 4th after getting punt into turn number 3. So Brandon Jackson was able to squeak in for a podium position. But I am not currently seeing a qualifying time out of Mr. Benjamin Lacey. So we'll see how he does here tonight, as that is going to wrap up qualifying. Very, very tough here, especially with that starting top 5. Jackson Knock looking to have a good race. I expect Knock and Nickerson to really duke it out there at the beginning, especially on that first start. We do, unfortunately, have a couple of restarts here that we've seen a couple of times where drivers have fallen back just a hair, trying to see if they can fight their way up to the front, and they just battle back and forth out there to see if they can come up with any sort of positions on that restart, and a early caution is what normally ends up happening as we see these guys sling in and come up with some sort of attitude adjustment out there. Eddie Hagge going to be a driver who's going to be pretty excited about how his race will go tonight. But really, Jackson Knock is one of the ones I'd like to circle out there. Hasn't had a ton of time out here on the track, but has been able to put down some solid times. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the points while we've got the time here. The championship standings as they sit right now. Jonathan Platt is on top of the board. Even if he missed tonight's race, it would still be pretty close as Kevin Foster desperately tries to reel him in here, sitting at 226. Now, consider, Jonathan Platt has missed a race. I did not get confirmation whether the provisional points were included out there, but 278 is where Mr. Platt is going to sit, and then rounding out our top 5 is going to be David Lakey. Now, David Lakey has been pretty consistent out there, coming out here and just knocking down times, finishing races, and that's where that earns him that 5th spot. So Nickerson starting on the pole here tonight. He's going to have a pretty good run at this, but boy, I can't wait to see how all this goes. Mailbox Media out there saying he got this track about an hour ago. Turns out, honestly, you were not the only one. There are a lot of guys out here who've never been to New Smyrna Speedway. Definitely a flat track. Pretty tough to tame out here to see if these guys can wrap around the track and stay pretty consistent out there. I would expect a lot of tire wear out of that right front. And these guys are going to be sliding around all over the track. So as we could conclude there for our points, we'll go ahead and take a look at it a little bit later on here tonight. But I do want to talk to you guys about what tonight's race is going to consist of here. 150 laps, 100% fuel limit, 3 sets of tires down in the pits. But I have been told here at a last-minute change, they are going to be moving to an unlimited set of tires. Honestly, I think they may fry through a bunch of these. We've noticed a couple of our guys in the top 5. The only time to pit is at that stage break, which will be at lap number 70 here tonight. Those will be a modified fix setup, so a little adjustment out there by the admins out there to make these cars a little easier to drive out there. I would say a couple adjustments out there. I know Kevin Foster and Bill Harkins have been working very hard at making sure these cars are the best that they can be for these guys, and I think Jonathan Platt enjoys the way these cars drive out there, as he has been the most winningest driver this season as we return here for season number 15. All right, one fast repair. I'll be your producer and commentator here tonight, and Dalton Kilroy doing his best up there in the race control. Awesome. All right, I don't see any questions out of you guys out here. Love the first and third for Kelly Queel. Yeah, talk about no kidding out there. For our guys starting up there in the front, looks like the GFR team doing a heck of a job out there. And we'll see how Kevin Foster and Nick Nickerson are going to do. All right, hopefully we'll be able to see a couple of our new drivers out here. One of them that we saw last week was Regan Fruget doing out there in the number 25 machine. He's going to be knocking down his second race here tonight. Ty Carino is going to be our second driver who's going to be new out here tonight, and Josh Adams. I already see we got somebody out there, Surgery Steve, rooting on Victor Weaver and Josh Adams. That'll be out here on the track. Honestly, this will be the first time we've seen how Mr. Adams races. I've been looking here at his iRating, and I got a feeling we got a guy who can contend up here with the top 5. We'll just see how he does out there in the late models. A lot of these guys do get that iRating, which is how iRacing views these guys at their finishing production, especially from qualifying to finish. They're given a grade, and not only by the license, but the amount of points that they earn from iRacing. And when the gentleman's hovering around that 4,200 mark, that's going to be pretty high. That's actually higher than Mr. Nickerson out there. So Josh Adams, I've got a circle around him here tonight, and I've already done a list. I see Sergio Steve out there saying Adams a baller. Yeah, I got a feeling that we may get somebody out here that's going to start really laying down some laps. Honestly, it's hard to really point out and say that the iRating is the be-all, end-all. You know, we could have guys out here with a 5,000 that race like total garbage, and we got guys out here that could race in the 900s and be perfectly fine. A lot of guys just don't like racing the officials because there's just too much to depend on. There are a lot of guys out there, I'm sure you've seen on other YouTube channels, when you're not searching for me out there as broadcasting, the guys who go out there and grief, and you know, they kind of get out there on a really important race, make it about half a lap and put somebody into the wall, and there's no reason for that. A lot of guys do take this seriously, although these are guys sitting in a in a simulator, racing kind of on a video game here, but regardless, we make the best of it, make it look as real as absolutely possible, and these guys able to knock down some solid times out there and definitely make something of it here. So I'm excited to see what happens, and I'm really holding my breath to see if there is anybody that can really kind of turn this around and maybe make something of it here. And the one I want to talk to is our pole position setter, Nick Nickerson out here. Well, scoring on top, outside the top 5, as the gentleman you were just sitting next to. How confident do you feel if that 43 is going to start showing up in that rear view?
Yeah, I'm not feeling too confident just yet because I didn't really get much practice for tonight. And this is a different ball game on this track, man. It's very loose going in. I don't know. I'll just have to see. I'm just going to have to see how it plays out and if I can save tires for when it matters the most. But it's going to be a little bit more tough than the tracks we've ran on so far.
Okay, well, this is really going to blow a couple things away here, Nick, because I want to kind of point this out. You say you haven't had a whole lot of time. The guy actually starting to your outside is the exact same. He bought this track an hour ago, and the two of you guys are going to be starting on the front row with a bunch of hungry drivers sitting behind you right now. I don't know how that happened. You know, normally you guys are in the front row with a ton of time, but talk to me a little bit about, you know, tire conservation has got to be key here to this track.
I know. Well, this is like one of the toughest positions, right? To be in the lead and trying to save tires because you're going to get people breathing down my neck. And I don't want to get rear-ended or spun out, so I'm trying to push it, but I'm also not trying to push it too hard because I want to save my tires, of course. It's going to be tough. We'll just have to see how it plays out. I wish I could say I have a plan, but every time I make a plan, it never works out.
Yep, well, watch out for Axon Jackson. He's going to want to come away with his first win. Good luck out there, Nick.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it, man. Talk to you later.
Yep. All right, Nick Nickerson. We'll joke around and say that's him calling his shot when he says he wants to talk to us a little bit later. And we'll see how the rest of these guys go. I do notice Josh Adams right now. I see you guys are asking to interview Josh. I might grab him next race. Right now, I see him hopping around in rooms right now, I think trying to find a safe place to be. I think he might have just hovered in the 937 with Victor. I just want to make sure. I saw him in 2 other teams before we got to that point. Definitely want to make sure he settles in. I hate kind of shaking up the rookies a little bit to a league, seeing how everything kind of fizzles out here and might be able to get something going. So I was correct. No qualifying time, but taking the wheel right now. This is Benjamin Lacey. He's going to be looking to kind of get back to it. He's, I would assume, feelings are probably pretty hurt from last week. So is there going to be any sort of retribution here to kind of get back at the 99? We will definitely see how it goes. Surgery Steve out there. Yeah, there you go. You're getting the hang of it. Viet guy out there saying, go Foster. Shake and bake. So we'll see how Kevin Foster does out there. I see him still hanging out there in the pits. Bob Berry populating there in front of him. There goes Jonathan Platt. And we will get ready to go here in just a moment. About another minute left here in the warm-up. There's Josh Adams. See if we can find this guy. I have to push this guy a little bit of the application here and see if we can get a little more information on Josh Adams. Double check and make sure his paint is also correct as well. I know these guys like showing off their sponsors and making sure they are getting plenty of screen time as well. Eddie Haggy. There's a driver out there in the Magathy Consulting. He's going to be looking to boomerang back. Now remember, a little bit of touch and go there from Eddie Haggy. And Bill Harkins a couple of races ago. That's enough to set him off there. I see right now no behind the wheel for Mr. Harkins. He may be up there with RC this week. Out there in the number 12. I believe he did race there in the practice race on Tuesday. So we'll hold our breath, and hopefully we do see the return of Mr. Harkins out there in the number 12, and hopefully he'll have the opportunity. Do appreciate you guys joining me here tonight. Definitely got plenty of people here. Rebecca Halsey out there, even D-Train joining us. Jay, of course, Surgery Steve, Kelly Queel, Viet Guy. Holy cow, that's awesome. Glad to see you guys showing up here. Oddly enough, I believe I'm missing who? Miss Guzik and Robin Allen. Those are the ones I'm missing here so far. They're normally the ones who chew me out and tell me I'm doing stuff wrong here in the booth. But that's okay. They keep me up to date and making sure I am not fumbling here. So while we go ahead and do that, why don't we take a look at our starting grid here for tonight, as this is going to be a blast here. All right, Nick Nickerson and Jackson Knock, the freshest guys to this track, go ahead and knock down the fastest times there in the front. You see missing by 32 thousandths of a second is Jackson Knox. Just a hair, he misses it. Moving on to Kevin Foster, who will be starting on the inside of row number 2 with Ethan Sikorsky to his outside. Brandon Jackson sitting in 5th, and Regan Fruget will be starting in the 6th spot. Not bad there from the Canadian. Moving on here to Jonathan Platt, who starts in 7th. 7th position for Jonathan Platt. Almost got me speechless here as I'm taking a look at Eddie Hagge, who's starting on the outside of him. So Hagge has been pretty close to getting the lead here a couple of times. He'll be starting to our points leader. They'll be the inside. Josh Adams, our newcomer, sitting in 9th next to Bob Berry, one of our guys who spends a ton of time here at this track. And with this league, I'm noticing, Bob Berry is having some trouble getting out of pit road here. I don't know if there's going to be some trouble. We'll see if we can get him fired back up and back on the track. Jason Greenwell will be starting 11th. Victor Weaver in the 12th position. Moving on to the rest of our field, Matt Crockett will be 13th. Ty Corino will be sitting in 14th. Logan Murray in the 4 car, starting all the way back here in 15th. Very odd to see him starting so far back. Talks a big game, but he'll be starting next to Benjamin Lacey. Let's see if they can floss their way through this field here as they get ready to go. Green flag is out already, but we are going to hold for one more lap, and then they will get going here, since caution laps do not count here in this league. So it's going to be pretty sketchy here for our guys who want to floss their way up to the front. I've got to say, when they get ready to go, Nickerson and Jackson Knock, all starts will be controlled by our leader here. So we get ready to go. Number 2 car to the inside of the 00 of Jackson Knock. Here we go. Nickerson. He's going to like that. Gets a good jump. Great jump out front. Green flag is out. Here we go. Little slip up here. I see some movement back here around the Fruget area. The 25 machine, seeing if he can get on around. Seeing if he can squeak by Action Jackson to his inside. Platt starting to try to make a move. Lap number 3 is underway. Already seeing some shuffling here in the backfield as they are squirting on by. Now shows Ty Carino's up in the front. That's just from a little mix-up here. Here we go. That should shuffle our tower back straight. Hey, there's Mama Goose. Yep, I would hope and cross our fingers that Brett Guzik will be able to return back to us. I know he had a bumpy start there in the first couple of races there. And the 25 car is around. First caution is out. Hit the brakes, for God's sakes. Regan Fruget is around. Looks like he was the first driver to get sideways. And it looks like Matt Crockett continues to beat and bang these drivers. Heading down the backstretch, I'm not quite sure why there. But hopefully you wouldn't think guys would be upset at each other this early into the race. Let's go ahead and take a look at it here. The 25 car ends up sideways. I don't know if he came across the nose. Whoa. Boy, it looked like Eddie Hagge wasn't even turning yet. 25 may have been trying to scoop on down. We'll take another look at that one more time here. I do want to kind of scoop up a little bit here and see if we can see if Eddie Hagge isn't turning yet. Yeah, Hagge's still straight. It looks like he's following the inside car. Gets caught, but somehow Jason Greenwell gets Victor Weaver shoved. And that's what causes this mess here in the backfield. So after all this is said and done, everything looks good, everybody stops. They continue hitting each other here. Logan Murray. I swear. And I would say that's the worst part is after the caution comes out, it then starts to collect guys. And then just when you think the caution's over, everybody's straight, everybody's facing the same way, guys are still hitting each other. So, yeah, Surgery Steve is saying, oh, yep, he got caught up in that. All right, first caution comes out here of the night. That one infecting Benjamin Lacey, Victor Weaver, Ty Carino, Jason Greenwell, Matt Crockett, Logan Murray, and of course, Regan Fruget. Once again, I do appreciate you guys joining us here at Simtrax Broadcasting. This is us bringing you the Bandit Racing League here. Pace car heads on off, but we are not going just as of yet. I'm sure we'll be having a conversation here with the league on that first start, noticing that the tower is still mixing up here when we are having to go around one more time. Down pit road goes Logan Murray. As Logan is working on getting back on the lead lap here, gets the lucky dog around. I believe Bob Berry is still the only driver that is still lapped down here. All right, let's go ahead and get her back under green. Looks like Jackson Knock falls a little bit asleep behind the wheel here. GFR team getting ready to stack it up 1 and 2. The 43 into the back of Knock. Wow. Jonathan Platt definitely saw that one coming here as they shuffle on around. Nickerson in front, Foster in second, Knock in third. Everything straightens out here. Jonathan Platt has slid up to fourth. That's 3 gained here so far. Brandon Jackson still holds tight on the fifth. Ethan Sikorsky on the roll backwards, but just by a couple. Sure, Regan Fruget is going to be rather upset. Is he all the way down there in the 13th position? That is definitely going to hurt some feelings for him. He would like to be able to get back up to the front. We got plenty of laps to do so. If this is as green flag as it was last week, I would definitely hope so. All right, couple of drivers starting to shuffle on through. I see Benjamin Lacey already starting to make some passes. And Victor Weaver, I think, back here battling with the 62 of Ty Carino. Carino going to hang there in the back as Logan Murray takes a look to the inside. These are the closest guys out here on the track, all the way back here in the 13th and 14th position. We're going to shuffle back on up to Jackson Knock, who looks like he is still under fire here by Jonathan Platt. Platt only 3 positions away from his common area that he hangs out in all the time. Does not have that right now. Jackson Knock trying to see if he can squeak away from him here. Platt has a good turn entry. Jackson Knock is a little slower heading into the turns. And Platt is trying to figure out how to set him up here. See if he can get any sort of a turn exit speed and shoot underneath of him. What you'll do is you'll see sometimes a frustrated driver will dive bomb underneath and try to stick a fender in heading into turn 1 or 3, and that'll end up causing more problems than it's worth. Kevin Foster hanging out still in second, watching his teammate pull away by just a little bit there, about half a second. Everything looking good. Jonathan Platt still wheeling that car, looking for a groove. Still can't find any room there. He's trying to squeak by. And there's his move. Jonathan Platt sends it on into the turn, gets him side by side here. Platt trying to find that full groove, makes contact with Jackson Knock. Knock holds on though. Excellent job. Jonathan Platt holds on, so does Jackson Knock. But Brandon Jackson now breaks up. He now gets into fourth. That's currently the 91 machine you see currently sitting in front of us here. As the pile up from these guys, look like Jonathan Platt's going to have his work cut out for him. You see him nudge the 91. Platt's getting out of shape. Jason Greenwell almost diving into pits. He gets way out of shape. Goes in and almost hits that cone. We'll give that for just a moment. I do want to take a peek at the Jackson Knock pass here. This is where Knock was trying to get by. You see Platt give him a nudge into the turn. Jackson Knock holds to the outside. Boom, hits him again. And that's where the 31 of Platt is able to hold on, and there was the pass. So a lot of stuff happening here in the front. And once again, Platt to the outside. And there's a nudge for Brandon Jackson. Jackson and Platt going at it. These guys have done this more than once. And this, I would say, is going to be the race here, side by side. Here comes Platt. Platt looking for a dive to the outside, seeing if he can scrape along the edge without hitting the wall. He makes it. That gives him about half a car length here. Brandon Jackson is trying to kind of teeter a little bit, rolls to the outside, gives him a nudge. Platt now way out of shape. Wants to dive a little bit sooner. Notice how Brandon Jackson hangs in a little bit and sends him into the wall. Brandon Jackson gets the worst of it here. So I can guarantee you that radio's getting loud. 91 machine, heavy damage to the right front. He hooked him and around he went. I would say, I think Platt's getting a little annoyed with a little bit of the bump and run here. So you see the 91 swerves to the outside a little bit just to get the late entry. And the 43 catches him here. Yeah, I think that was Eddie Hagee getting into Ethan Sikorsky, and Sikorsky got out of shape as well. Yep, Sikorsky met the wall. So as Sikorsky was hitting the wall there, you can't blame Eddie Hagee and Sikorsky letting way off because you knew this was going to be a dangerous area. So this is a huge shot here, and I'm not seeing where, who we can really point at fault. I'll let you guys draw that. But notice Ethan Sikorsky riding up the track, having to hit the brakes pretty hard. The 91 holding it. It looks like the 43 is able to start getting a hole shot through that turn. Gets caught. Ethan Sikorsky's around. He slides up the track and gets caught. All right, here's from Brandon Jackson's view. Taking a look here. This is from Platt's angle. Yeah, from the gas and the steering, it almost sounds like Platt tries to get out of it. You see him turn to the right trying to let off of him, but by that point, it had already sent him around. So Brandon Jackson does come down into pit, back on lap number 24, as our second caution comes out here of the night. Two other drivers join him, Matt Crockett. Actually, three other drivers. Matt Crockett comes down as well. Jason Greenwell and Bob Berry come down into pit. Oddly enough, the 94 Ethan Sikorsky does not come into pit here on this caution. Notice there is some damage to the front of that 62 machine. Expect the 91 to try to floss through this. See if he can shoot on through here. That's the number 22 with Josh Adams is teetering on the outside of the top 5. Currently, I believe Eddie Hagge will hold that spot. Nickerson's going to get us off to another restart. I'm sure it's going to be just as good as the last. And the outside line, he takes it. Boy, this is going to open up that door for Jonathan Platt here, and that's what they're hoping for. Platt to the outside, gives a nudge here to Foster. Foster trying to help Nickerson out. Foster's going to have to send it into the turn a little hotter than he wants to. Knock is going to try to push him on, and Foster getting us slightly loose there. That does give up that blink of a second. And Platt's on through. So now, what I talked to Nick Nickerson about, he said he's a little bit nervous here. When that 43 enters that rear view mirror, the trouble begins. Jonathan Platt looking to reel him in really quick here. Does not want to waste any time. Platt has slowly marched up 5 positions here in a matter of 25 to 27 laps. Jay out there asking, yes, this is the late model cars. Kevin Foster getting pretty close here to the Platt. The 8 is followed behind the 43 for a few races. He's done it before. We'll see if this does return back if Foster decides to go up there and a little bit of that chrome horn out there. Brandon Jackson checked back in on him, 11th position. He's already work his way back up to the front. He's already put Greenwell and Logan Murray behind him. And he is working here on Ethan Sikorsky. Sikorsky goes to the outside. That's going to put Victor Weaver right in the middle of this. Here it is, looking off the side here of Victor Weaver's car. Watch that 91 start creeping in. There he goes, Victor Weaver, a little bit to the outside. That's what Brandon Jackson likes to see. Round he goes. Brandon Jackson back into the top 10. Job there by Ethan Sikorsky. We'll check in on a driver who was involved in our first caution here of the night. Regan Fruget, sitting currently in the 25 car. He's sitting now 6th, following Josh Adams. Everything pretty quiet up front here. Everybody separated by about half a second apiece. And Kevin Foster and Jackson Knox are pretty close, sitting about a quarter of a second. Everything laying back just a little bit. I would wonder if Jonathan Platt has burned up his tires trying to fight through some of these other tough drivers to get up here. Like a quick little damage check when they come down 4th stage. A fresh set of tires, and I think Nickerson may have his hands full when that happens. If Nickerson can hold out without any mistakes. Let's check in on Eddie Hagge. Hagge to the inside here of Benjamin Lacey. Lacey now looking for that 9th position on his gaining for tonight. Going to keep that roll going, and he does. Right now, I would say the Real Earth film should probably be filming this guy if we're looking to film the Wild. Right now, this guy is crazy. Moving up now to the 7th position in the number 7. Great job here so far by Benjamin Lacey, especially for no qualifying time. Brandon Jackson now sitting in 9th. He's now running down Eddie Hagge here. Hagge less than a quarter of a second. Watch the 91 machine slice to the inside here. He's got him. Only by a fender. Now a quarter and gone. Good pass here. Brandon Jackson picking and choosing. Finding that line and taking it. Right now I would say I wouldn't say the 91 is upset here. But I'm wondering if that 91's got a little something for that 43, if he can go back up there and give him the what for one more time. Remember, Brandon Jackson left him alone there for the first couple of races here of the season. He said he didn't want to bump him and turn him, but he thinks Jonathan Platt could handle it. We might just find out. Let's check in on Jackson Knock. It looks like Josh Adams is starting to apply some pressure to him. Adams takes a hard inside line here. Wow, good turn. And that's Josh Adams actually doing a good bit of trail braking there. You notice through the middle of the turn he's able to rotate. But unfortunately, our number 4 car of Logan Murray is facing the back of the field here. As our Skull Machine looks like he's going to dip back to the back of the field. All right, here's an overhead view here. Does Jason Greenwell get in on him? Yep, little nudge there. Whoop. All right, I do want to see if we can take another peek at that, though. I do want to see if Logan Murray checked up a little bit and caused Jason Greenwell to get in there. No, it looked like Logan Murray was staying about the same speed as Victor Weaver there. So around he goes. Brings out yet another caution here for tonight. That's the third before our stage. I believe last week we only had one before our stage break. You want to talk about exciting. That was nice. Well, these guys are flying through. Currently looking, I think, hovering about 30 laps before we come to our stage break. Some drivers opting to come in now, Matt Crockett being one of them, the 42 machine, and Benjamin Lacey. I'll do a little bit of a head scratcher on that one. Benjamin Lacey coming in and pitting here on lap number 42. Maybe a fresh set of tires for him. He's hoping to slice through the field again. So takes that 9 position gain. Looks like he's going to have to settle for only 5 now. So goes ahead and gives up 4 positions. But has 4 new tires. Maybe he might be able to break into farther in the top 5 here. If he can get things to line up right. If this thing keeps going caution all the way to the next green flag, it's going to be kind of nasty. So Benjamin Lacey, we'll see how he does. Let's see if we can get him back to it. Nickerson deciding to start off on the inside on this track. I would say when he started the outside there with Kevin Foster, that was a pretty gutsy move. I'm not sure I would have taken that line, but notice Nickerson. And that is exactly what I've been trying to tell these guys right from the beginning. Notice how Jonathan Platt puts that fender right there into the 2, and Nickerson is around. Nickerson, heavy damage to the right front fender. Yeah, Nickerson's car is destroyed here. And the GFR team mashed not one, but I believe it also caught a second car. And that being of Kevin Foster. Foster trying to get back to it here. He's dealing with some trouble. Yeah, if this sits right here, Surgery Steve, I think Victor Weaver, if he doesn't do anything, I think Victor Weaver may be starting in the 2nd position. So hopefully he doesn't get too nervous here. We'll see how everybody shuffles back up. I think Jonathan Platt may have to come down into pit road here for some repairs. do notice he's dealing with some issues there on that right front fender. There's a couple guys coming back down in the pit. Quick checkup here. As I get ready to wind up here and kind of break down our caution. All right, so here's the restart here. We'll see if we can get another peek. Heading into the turn, Jonathan Platt, just underneath the rear bumper of Nick. And that sends the number 2 car around. Adams even gets into the back of Jackson Knock there. Holy cow. Yeah, you were saying even Victor Weaver made it through. At least some driver didn't get mixed up here. We'll see it here toward the top when everybody mashes up. Here's the spin out. And you see Kevin Foster gets slid out of place as well. Oof. All right, here's one more time here for Miss Queel. Take a look at what happens to Kevin Foster here. Kevin Foster sees this going around. Tries to check up, Knock gets into him, then Adams gets into him. Victor Weaver ricochets off the 91. Kevin Foster puts in reverse, trying to get out of there as Jackson Knock is into the grass. Oh boy. Hard to say who wasn't involved there. Looks like Lacey, Carino, Crockett, Platt, Jay, Barry, Murray, Haggy, Knock, Foster, Nickerson, all involved. All right, looks like it's game time back under green. It's the 62 machine of Ty Carino. Trying to work his way up to the front here, but that does leave us with Ethan Sikorsky back into third. At least close to his qualifying position here. A little bit of flossing out there. Notice Matt Crockett gets a really crummy turn there. Crockett trying to come off of that before Eddie Haggy takes advantage of him. Haggy to the inside. Then we're also taking a look at Jackson Knock. Knock is down to 5th. But he is right now competing out there. The 25 of Regan Fruget. Josh Adams leading the race here. Rookie here from the league. Is leading the charge, trying to get away from Brandon Jackson. Ethan Sikorsky sits 3rd. Victor Weaver is in 4th. Jackson Knock is 5th. About 20 some odd laps to go here before we finish this one. At least the stage break anyway. I am taking a look at Victor Weaver's machine. He had some heavy damage there to the left rear corner. Hopefully that won't be a problem for him. Take a look from Eddie Haggy's machine. You see how he's bent up there on the corner, so Victor might be fighting a little bit of downforce issue. He's going to be scrubbing a little bit here, so we'll keep an eye on it. Regan still caught on the outside here. He's marching backwards now, sitting 10th. Looks like Jason Greenwell's going to get a nice bite here onto the inside. Almost rolls up into the 25 machine. Surgery Steve out there saying needing them repairs. Yep, he's going to need them. He'll have 17 laps before he gets to do that. If he can just hold on. Weaver getting caught on the outside here. This is not only going to let the driver of Eddie Haggie get on through. Benjamin Lacey's now taking a look to the inside. Here comes Lacey in the number 7. That's now 9 positions gained. Remember, he took fresh tires. Looking for his best, seeing if he can capitalize. Right now, Nickerson's going to be trying to drive the wheels off this car to try to get back into the top 5. That's a good chunk of the GFR team right here. Number 2 and the number 8. It's heading right here. Nickerson 7th. Foster now back up to the 8th position. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was season 13 that Kevin Foster couldn't qualify anywhere except the 8th position. So far, Brandon Jackson, I think, is doing a little bit of work up here as Jackson Knock is looking for that 3rd spot. Knock has been holding on pretty tight, though. Knock, slides in front of the 91. These two have been going at it a good bit here tonight. Right now, these two have been fighting for the last 3 laps, trying to hold on to a solid position. No, Brandon Jackson took tires back on lap number 24. Our top 3 still have not pit here for the night. As now Josh Adams is really starting to put the separation on the field here. Fresh air out front, and he is driving away now by 1.2 seconds. This is a good run here by this gentleman. Let's rotate on back for our top 5. Eddie Haggie's who I'm looking for. There he is in the 97. Taking a look back at Nick Nickerson. Nickerson's car looking a lot better than it did, than smacking that wall. Ooh, man. Boy, Nickerson putting that just about as close as you can get it. Yeah, you can see this is Nickerson getting a little bit frustrated here with Eddie Haggie because Haggie keeps making a block. Oh, Nick. Nick sliding all over the place with 8 laps left to go here in the stage. Notice there's some mixing up there in the back between Benjamin Lacey and Kevin Foster. Everything pretty quiet up front now, 1.3 seconds. And Josh Adams is leading over top of Ethan Sikorsky. And there's the move. That's what Nick was looking for. Notice how he heads into the turn, almost locks them brakes up a little bit. Gets the front end wiggle just a hair as he's trying to get past Eddie Haggie. He will. There'll be no problem. You just hold Haggie up high enough. He'll go ahead and start smoking those tires off. 5 left to go. Nickerson did exactly what he was trying to accomplish. 5th position. See all you guys out there rooting on Josh Adams. You guys definitely not kidding here. All right, take a look here at Jackson Knock. This is for position number 2. Knock was able to break away from Brandon Jackson. Knock and Sikorsky are going to go at it. These two side by side here. Right now, Ethan Sikorsky with the ESR team. Jackson Knock running out there with CPR. Look here to the inside. Woo! Little touch. Little touch. Knock gets a little bit out of shape here. It did look like a slight bit of net code. cars are going to have to definitely start keeping a little bit of distance here. Speaking of distance, 2 seconds out front is Josh Adams. And I'm not 100% sure who beat who to the line. But that was close. Let's take a look. All right, they're going to call it. Knox going to get position number 2. So out of that entire stint here of our first stage, 4 drivers did not pit. Josh Adams, Ethan Sikorsky, Jackson Knock, and Regan Fruget. Now, I would say Fruget falling all the way back down to 12th. That's going to hurt. He would like to see what happens. Robin Allen asking what happened to Jonathan Platt. Mr. Platt actually qualified in the 7th position. Outside the top 5. A little unusual for him. Fought his way up to the front. A little bit of bumping and running there for a couple of these drivers who unfortunately did not get the upper hand of some of that issue out there. But the worst one here was Nick Nickerson. Him getting caught up and hooked into the wall there. Almost a little bit of the same deal that we saw coming from Mr. Jackson, Brandon Jackson, that is. So pretty rough out there. So the drivers come down into pit road. Now is a 5-minute timer. They're going to have time to go ahead and fix these cars on up. This will be a good time for drivers like Josh Adams. Double check, make sure that car is feeling pretty straight out there. Nickerson, I'm sure, took his fast repair. Go ahead and get that thing squared away. Victor Weaver as well. He had some damage, and especially Ty Carino out there in the 62. He had a ton of damage to the nose of that car. Hopefully, we're all crossing our fingers that most of the drivers out here that did have fast repairs did not make the mistake of taking the fast repair now. They've got 5 minutes to fix it. They've put on 4 tires and fuel, and these boys will get back out there and let it go again. So we'll see how all that kind of boils down here. I know the Bandit Racing Lounge is kind of mixing it up out here. Definitely, we talked to him once before. We're going to go ahead and talk to him again. Nick, well, we greeted the wall in an untimely manner there.
Yeah. Are you talking about the, which incident?
Somebody was battling for the lead there, and you got turned into a wheelbarrow.
Oh, yeah. I don't know, it sucks, man. Like, these cars are so fun to drive, but like it feels like they're just too rigid on the nose and bumpers that like the slightest little contact like sends you around. So like I feel like iRacing needs to, I don't know, make it just a little bit more softer on the bumpers. That way you can actually kind of bump.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, maybe it's realistic and it's just hard to tell like the acceleration difference or whatever, but like it's just, you barely touch anybody and they're going around. There's nothing to save it, so it's just unfortunate. But I can't complain because I've had my fair share of turning people around this season, so it's just payback, I guess.
Yeah, well, you definitely get it now. I would say from an unusual suspect here, you guys try your best not to bump him as that gentleman's in the lead most of the time. And you have the lead, and it almost seems like he was moving you out of the way. But, Nick, I'm sure everything's all fine and dandy out there on the track. But I did warn you what's going to happen when that 43's in the rear view.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Yeah, he's just trying to keep it close to get a good run off the corner, and that's just what happens. And maybe it was the first lap, you know, right off out of green or out of the yellow, so maybe I braked a little early. I don't know. It's hard to say, but no harm. Try it again.
Well, how did the rest of the team handle? Because Kevin Foster went around as well.
Yeah, fortunately we got them fast repairs, but both of us got junked pretty badly, so yeah, we'll see. Hopefully we can keep it together this second half.
All right.
Probably not, though. We'll see.
Well, joking around out there in the chat, Robin Allen is saying, respect the bumper 150 is the name of the race. I think we we learned a little bit about that. Good luck out there, Nick.
That's right. Appreciate it, man. Take care.
All right. He seems in good spirits about that. Everything seems A-okay and everything's squared away. Now, normally we don't grab a hold of a rookie, but the guy's in the lead. He's fought his way up there. Let's go ahead and talk to him. Josh Adams, you got a copy on me here, bud?
I do.
All right. Well, we have the lead, and then not only did you have it, a commanding lead. You started really pulling away from the field out here. How's it handling now?
It feels pretty good. I don't run this car often, so I don't know if I was overdriving it or what, but definitely feels good. It felt a lot better once I got out into the clean air, not behind people.
Right. And that seems to be the key to success out there. Guys get in the front, clean air out front, and not having to bump and run everybody. But if we start, let's say, collecting a few cautions here and there, your restart ability hasn't really been tested yet. You know, how nervous do you get when drivers are sitting next to you, wanting to dive into the same turn at the same time?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely goes up because, you know, these guys are seeing me for the first time. I'm seeing them for the first time. So, you know, I don't know everybody. So I'm probably maybe a little bit more timid than I would usually be going down into turn one on some of these restarts.
Okay, well, I was going to say, per your iRating here, I find that hard to believe. Your confidence level is probably soaring higher than some of these other guys that have been battling all night here tonight, side by side. Now, you've seen your share of wrecks and guys spinning out in front of you here. Hopefully, you don't end up in the back of the field yet again. You know, again, you're trying to fight your way through. But, you know, how's the racecraft out there so far? I mean, is it kind of up to your standard out there, or is these cars just difficult to drive?
Yeah, I mean, they're pretty difficult, and like I think I was listening to Nick. He said the cars are just kind of rigid. It's easy to turn people around, but you know, the battles I had, it was very clean. I had a little bit of contact with the 00, and you know, if you get into them just a little bit, you know, you should be just fine.
All right. I see you're racing down there with Victor Weaver. What does he have to say about what's happening out there on the track?
Yeah, he told me just to drive away. I think he was just hanging on to it. He had a couple of got in a wreck right there really early, so he's trying to fight back from that.
All right. Well, you drive away and continue doing that. I would love to see how far away you can get from this field. I think most we've seen here so far in this season was 4 seconds is what the leader led the entire field by. So good luck out there, Josh.
Thank you.
All right, we'll send Josh Adams back down into the 937 racing out there with Victor Weaver. I'm sure he'll be excited. Was talking to him when it was time to line up. I did not realize that we had boiled over that spot. Yep, we were about 6.5 minutes and we were getting ready to go. Checking out there in the chat, Jonathan Platt saying he did not mean to do that. Hate for everyone that was involved. I would say, Jonathan Platt, accidents happen as long as it doesn't look intentional, man. I think everybody just kind of gets, goes along with it. Nickerson, he's pretty calm and cool. Now, I would say your championship 4, he's going to want to strangle you for that one, but everything's pretty kosher out there. These guys definitely race side by side, week in and week out. These guys definitely are able to smooth the edges out. So Josh Adams getting ready to line back up. I'm sure as the pace car loops back around, the driver's behind him. See, you can tell he's new to the league. Everybody else sitting here on the backstretch getting ready to go, but that's A-okay. They'll go up and catch up to him here in just a second, and we'll go ahead, get a few caution laps under our belt, and then we will be back to it here. Back to it. Cannot wait. Appreciate you guys once again joining us here at Simtrax Broadcasting. We'll bring you the best here in iRacing. Currently, Wednesdays are our only night here with the Bandit Racing League. So we bring late model racing to you guys with the short track tempers. These guys definitely doing something about it. Ethan Sikorsky going to be getting ready to go here. I believe he will be starting, I think, to the inside. Interesting lane choice here by the number 22. They're trying to get Jonathan Platt on the lap here. Not sure it's telling him where he is. He should be going around. Should put Jonathan Platt back onto the lead lap. Get all these guys ready to go again. So Josh Adams, Ethan Sikorsky, front row. Row number 2 will be sitting Brandon Jackson and Jackson Knock. Boy, those two again side by side with each other. I don't know what I'm going to do. Oh, boy. All right, Nick Nickerson and Eddie Haggy looks like row number 3. Kevin Foster and Benjamin Lacey, row number 4. Row number 5 is going to go to Jason Greenwell and Victor Weaver. Followed by Logan Murray, William Fujay, Bob Berry, Matt Crockett, Ty Reno, and Jonathan Platt. All right, stage number 2 is underway. Josh Adams, like I said, a little bit of a gutsy call to take the outside line at the restart. That's going to give Brandon Action Jackson to the inside opportunity here. Jackson looking to take over quick. And if he can get out there into the lead, he's got just a hair. 22 overdrives just a little bit on the outside line. Might be watching that 91 drive away from him here. Josh Adams now has Ethan Sikorsky to the inside, and caution. I'll say, caution well timed for Mr. Adams there, but not for the drivers in the back. All right, we hunt for the caution here in the back. See what caused this one. I don't think there was any mix-up. It was horrible. Might have gotten somebody a little mixed up here. I think they may have gotten somebody a little mixed up on the counter there. So definitely try to squash this here. Shuffling up here by trying to get back in line here for just a moment. See what we got going on. I'm going to poke just a little bit here at our RC. I know he's got a ton of things going on. Hey, Dalton, caution here, buddy. What did we miss out there?
So, we had another fun iRacing scoring issue. I noticed after we went green that everybody outside the top 5 was placed a lap down. So we are fixing that.
Okay, that's what I thought. It looked a little weird.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, because they're showing Nickerson and they're on back. Okay, just making sure because it looked like it was maybe a misline up here or something got caught up because it moved Jonathan Platt all the way up to the 5th position instead of in the back where I guess he was starting there. All right, Dalton, appreciate you, big dog.
Yes, sir.
All right, RC doing his best. Like I said, that boy is always busy as they try to go ahead and mix this all back up. Normally when we don't count cautions, things like this happen. Maybe if they consider running next season, we'll do 225s or 250s out there and just go ahead and count the caution laps. And that way these guys don't get too mixed up out there. Robin Allen. You guys, I swear. There's no filter there. You just tell it how it is. All right. What I like here is Josh Adams, I think, might be taking a look here as he'll be on the inside line. Quite sure. I think they're going to possibly restack him. And Surgery Steve out there, yep. A little bit of different tech. So that caution was thrown out there by race control to try to straighten everybody up. This does give everybody a good chance. If you think about it, our GFR team, Kevin Foster and Nick Nickerson, these guys are a lap down. And Platt, who is 15th, and gained 10 positions. Definitely a little mix-up there. Here we go, back at the start. And they go ahead and say Josh Adams was leading the lap when they decide to throw the caution, so that means Brandon Jackson's going to have to re-attack. Fortunately, the 22 decides to pick inside line this time, probably a better choice. Go ahead and burn the tires up with that 91. If he can, 91 makes the pass. Brandon Jackson in the number 1 spot. Josh Adams now to second. Ethan Sikorsky going to hover in that 3rd spot. If you're looking for Jackson Knock, you'll find him back there in 5th as Nickerson has made the pass for 4th. Here. The top 5 unchanged here so far. I believe Jonathan Platt working on Victor Weaver. Weaver does not serve the same fate that Nickerson does. Here comes Weaver trying to keep it close. As Matt Crockett, that's how you dive bomber on in. 15 machine slings on to the inside line and isn't able to make the pass, but he gave it the college try. Check up here with Kevin Foster. Foster to the inside. I believe actually Nickerson is actually working up here on the inside of Ethan Sikorsky. Ethan Sikorsky out of the crunch and roll machine. And looks like he's with an LLC company now. So it looks like Ethan Sikorsky gets a sponsorship as he goes to the 5th position. Checking in on Rigu Fruget. Here he is to the inside. Fruget gets past Logan Murray. Murray now down to 10th. Still pretty decent for a 15th place start for Logan Murray. Looking to see if he can continue that charge up to the front. He's still struggling though. Tons of work to do out here on the track. He has been involved in a few cautions though. Keeping the pressure on. Josh Adams trying to stay close here to Brandon Jackson. Jackson out front with 65 laps left to go here. Nickerson wants to get on by to see if he can get a hold of that 91 machine. Right now I would say Brandon Jackson doesn't seem to be driving as hard as he has been, checking at his race times here. Sitting about an 18.5 second lap. His best time is an 18.1. So obviously it looks like Brandon Jackson might be choking up a little bit here. And then that way he can go ahead and save tire while in the lead. Number 22 with Josh Adams and Nick Nickerson are going to be fighting to get around him. And Nickerson's got a fender in there. Josh Adams able to pivot and get on around. Not bad. If you want to know how hard it is to drive here in the front, here's a ride here with Josh Adams. Solid run here so far, but Nickerson isn't far behind. Remember Nickerson, good turn exit. Reels him right in here. If you remember Nickerson in the first couple of races, bumping and nudging a couple of drivers as he wants to keep that nose close. It's hard not to. Boy, another good turn here. Nickerson's starting to find that game a little weak here in Josh Adams. now. Very odd for Josh. And now, I would say Josh Adams, without pitting last time, was able to take over the lead and kind of pull away. I mean, well, not just, he did pull away. Was able to do that, so I think he's trying to set Brandon Jackson up here, kind of wait his time. Ouch, Nickerson in the wall. Nickerson gives a little kiss off the edge there. Take a little bit of a peek here, see if we can see any damage to the right front. No, we cannot. We get the rabbit cam there. Take a quick peek at these two. Good drone footage here from the Perfect Shine Auto Spa machine. We'll check in on the other Perfect Shine Auto Spa machine of Kevin Foster sitting back there in 6th. As he brings up the back of that lead pack, looking about 0.8 of a second behind him, sits Eddie Haggy, who almost has his own group going. No foul, looking like a good race here so far. Everything's staying rather clean. Everybody just kind of marching off these laps. Go ahead and you'll start working on them. Wait till these tires wear down a little bit, start seating into the track, and then start expecting to see guys start dive bombing into some of these turns to see if they can fight on through. There you go. Josh Adams, a little lock up heading into that turn. Yeah, you know he's taking a peek. Trying to keep that 91 thinking. Right now as that happens, Nickerson swings to the outside, trying to get a little turn exit speed to dive in. And they're going to go ahead and have to bring it on back, as it looks like Regan Fruget is our driver around. But Jason Greenwell, if I'm not mistaken, that looks like an awesome machine to me on the inside. Victor Weaver is one of the drivers involved. All right, we'll wind back here a little bit and see what happened here. Take a look at... Whoop! Oof, Benjamin. Victor, what happened? Oh, no. Well then. So looks like Regan Fruget gets into the turn here and might have got a little too hot. Right there. Just got a good pivot. Gets caught here. Platt into the back of Benjamin Lacey not once but twice. And I think this is the insult to injury here to the inside. Boink. Fruget's getting the hang of it. He spins around a couple of times. He's figuring out to sidestep that clutch. Spin that 25-car machine on around. Might be coming into pit here. We'll see. Lap 100 is what we're looking at currently. Drivers are coming down into pit. I think that's a good call. Definitely want to change it up a little bit. 25 lap, fresher tires if you can. Matt Crockett and Nick Nickerson are going to take advantage of that. Matt Crockett on the 6th visit down to pit road this evening. Kevin Foster, Benjamin Lacey, Jonathan Platt, Jason Greenwell. Holy cow, just about everybody. Ethan Sikorsky, except our top 6 drivers, and Regan Fruget, who did not come down into pit. So Brandon Jackson and Josh Adams will have another go at it here. They did not pit. Eddie Haggy and Jackson Knock did not pit. Neither did Logan Murray or Ty Reno. right, drivers heading into turn number 3. All 16 drivers still mobile and active out here on the track. Bob Berry, Victor Weaver, Ethan Sikorsky, Regan Fruget, and Jonathan Platt making up our last 5 drivers out there. As we get this back under green, Bandit Racing League heads back into turn number 1. Josh Adams not getting a good of a bite or a restart as he had hoped. We saw how Jonathan Platt did it to Nick Nickerson. You put that fender into him, that way when he starts to pull, you can hit the gas as well. So it won't allow him to pull away. I guess it's the same move as a professional boxer out there. You lay your arm on top of his head and pull his head down and eventually starts wearing him out. That's what you do. Nickerson off track here, trying to get underneath Logan Murray. Logan Murray would like to keep his 10th position gain. It's going to go down to 9, possibly 8 here with Matt Crockett looking to the inside. Expect Logan Murray to puff out his chest here and start pushing. Does not want to roll back outside the top 5 anymore. As they continue to bump and bang here in the back. Looks like Ethan Sikorsky's in a mess. See Sikorsky getting shuffled on back. So is Regan Fruget. He's down to 14th. Boy, he's had a rough couple of races here. Eddie Hagge in a respectable 3rd position. He likes being up in the front. Nick Nickerson, boy, he's starting to turn on the afterburners now. Fresh tires there on lap 100. He now knocked down a 9-second flat. That's between the backstretch and the start-finish line. So he is currently starting to really roll here. That's 15, about almost 0.2 of a second faster than anybody else on the field through 3 and 4. So he must have gotten an opening here. Slicing through here. We've got our eyes here on the 5th position. 4th is under fire here, though. Looks like Jackson Knock gets a little nudge from Nick Nickerson. Nickerson going to give him a scrub here. Kevin Foster working back there on Logan Murray. Foster hasn't gotten around the 4 car yet. 4 car has the better line there on the bottom. 4th position does fizzle out there. Let's move back here to Logan Murray. Murray now to 7th. Murray's looking inside the car, pounding on some handle in there. He thinks the e-brake might be stuck up. May have to be working on that. All right. Driver's been pretty quiet here. Benjamin Lacey, you see him peeking in. Lacey working around Crockett. That's going to give Lacey 10th. He's trying to see if he can get 9th at the same time, but the 83 Nerds machine closes that door. As Jason Greenwell holds on to 9th. Josh Adams has got to make up his mind here pretty soon if how to get around this 91 car, and he's giving him a shove. Good call here. Josh Adams making it known. That 91 better pick up the pace here. The 22 is going to definitely force the issue. Eddie Hagge's getting super close, and so is Jackson Knock. So you can tell the leader has started to slow down, and this almost seems on purpose. Josh Adams starting to burn these tires up to get around. There it is. Good turn exit. Josh Adams fights around to the outside, but watch. Brandon Jackson decide to lean into the gas, and Jackson Knock is around. But I think the 22 car has got his fender out front, and I think he's got the lead. We'll double check after all this fizzles down here. Looks like Jackson Knock is our driver around, bringing out the caution. Something tells me that 00 got a little help out here. Let's take a look from the top side. Whoop. Oh no. No. I don't know about you guys. My heart sinks whenever I see the caution come out. 1, 2 cars are fine. And then after the guys make it through the incident, more guys are spinning out in the process. So Jackson Knock looks like he gets crazy hard on the brakes here. And not saying it's his fault. Looks like Eddie Haggy has to check up a little bit. He doesn't get into him. And Foster just sees him just absolutely lock him down to the ground. Logan punts what seems to be the 43 there. Jonathan Platt gets scrambled. Logan Murray gets in a mess. See if we can find it from another angle here. Yeah, it should have been Jonathan Platt, I believe, going for the 6th position. Platt gets faced back straight. 62 machine. There's Carino getting mixed up. And Knock is getting through the drivers that spun around before they can even get back straight. So caution comes out. Jackson Knock will find out where he restarts. It looks like he's slowly chopping through the field a bit. Robin Allen's joking around, saying at least Victor Weaver hit the brakes this time. All right, so what happens in the front here? Ticker, I would think my ticker is incorrect here, but it is. Josh Adams decided to come down pit. So did Brandon Jackson and Benjamin Lacey. Slow time there for Josh Adams. He spent 43 seconds down pit road, not in the box, 22 seconds in the box. But his full time sitting about 43 seconds. Which is 2 seconds slower than the 91. All right, here we go. Eddie Haggy getting us off to an awesome restart there. Interesting outside lane choice. Caution back out. There's a huge pileup. Fresh tires aren't going to matter here. Boy, did you see Jonathan Platt slamming in the 91? Trying to find that gear. Wonder if it's got a gearbox. There he goes. All right, caution after caution after caution here. Whoa, Jason Greenwell. Jason Greenwell in the 83. If you are Jackson Knock, you're probably one of the luckiest guys out there on the field. Currently, he's now 5th. So you'll see another angle of it here. So Jason Greenwell misses a shift. Look at the 00 down on the bottom. As he just is squeaking out of here. Avoids everything. Is able to survive. Couldn't get any luckier than that. So Jason Greenwell finally gets his time to shine. He's up front. Watch poor Benjamin Lacey here. He is just in the sandwich. Guy finally comes back, is able to get back onto the track. I don't see anybody down there in our infield car care center. 91 machine has got scrambled pretty bad here. I was looking for has gotten scrambled or has been scrambled. Good Lord, couldn't I butcher that English any worse? All right, I see a ton of black flags being divvied out here. Black flag. Let's see. Benjamin Lacey, Matt Crockett, Jonathan Platt, Logan Murray, Bob Berry, and Jason Greenwell are drivers that have been given the black flag here. And I would think this may be due to incident points. So we'll see it get going here in just a moment. Green flag, not yet. It is out, though. Drivers do have to come down into pit road as a drive-through penalty every 5 incident points caused after 20. I know those numbers may seem like gibberish to you guys out there, but once they end up with the black flag, a drive-through penalty will be assessed. So it looks like I've got at least 5 drivers getting the 6 drivers with the black flag penalty. They will be serving a drive-through now. So we're back off to the restart. They are heading on down. And that's going to really undo this. Everybody going to get all mixed up here on the track as they scramble to find where everybody goes. All right, that does leave us with Victor Weaver, I believe, in the 3rd position. He's going to be under fire here by Kevin Foster. And the rookie here of the 22 car taking a look to the outside. Job by Eddie Hagge being able to stay out in front of Nick Nickerson. These guys have separated from the field by about a second. For 1 and 2, Victor Weaver still hovering here in 3rd. Foster starting to, if he can break free of the 22, he can get looking out the windshield instead of the rear view, which it looks like he gets caught looking at. The 22 car, Josh Adams, now slices to the inside. 2 teammates about to be nose to tail here for the 937 team of Josh Adams and Victor Weaver out there. Robin Allen is hinting to put some red and blue lights there on the 8 car. See if we can get Victor Weaver to really stomp on the gas here. Eddie Hagge might be in some trouble. As currently Nickerson is getting even closer. Look at these 2 pull away. 2.5 from the field. And continuing to gain. Is this burning the tires off? Speaking of tires, Eddie Hagge, last time he took tires was at stage break. Nickerson took him at lap 100. Definitely with 30 laps pressure on these tires. Nickerson will try to use his advantage to the inside of Eddie Hagge there. Don't know if contact was made. That looked pretty close. Hagge does hold on to it, though. That may come back to bite him with some overheated tires. The driver with the oldest tires is the gentleman in the lead. Everybody else, it's either 30 to, looks like 45 laps pressure on the tires. All right, Victor Weaver still sitting 3rd as he's got a swarm of bees behind him here. Currently, Victor Weaver with Kevin Foster and Josh Adams behind him. Adams taking a look to the inside of Kevin Foster. Jackson Knock has had spurts of energy here over the past few laps. He has moved his way back into the front here. And notice he's sitting right behind Kevin Foster. Expect that 00 to start giving a little bit of help here to Foster to see if he can push him a little farther and faster. And he does. Foster able to get a full clear. Expect Foster to swing down to the bottom where he likes to be. Fortunately, Josh Adams is going to occupy that area. So our driver's 4th through the 8th position, all 5 of these drivers. From Kevin Foster, Josh Adams, Jackson Knock, Ethan Skorsky, and Ty Carino. These guys are squeezed within 0.2 of a second. In between each of these cars, look at these guys. That's what you want to see. I don't know about you guys. If the first 2 to 3 races here of the season was pretty spread out in single file, not anymore. These past couple of tracks, these guys have been side by side, bumping and rubbing there, and it looks like both Victor Weaver and Adams get caught on the outside, and Weaver's working his way back. Weaver from 3rd to 7th now. That is rather unfortunate for the 18 machine. Seems to have run out of NOS here. Looks like it moves Josh Adams up as he fights to hold on to 5th. Jackson Knock was able to give a little assistance there to Kevin Foster. As Foster goes ahead and holds on to 3rd. Oh, Adams! No caution is going to come out for that. As Ethan Sikorsky gets him a little bit loose. 22 machine slides sideways. And Josh Adams will now be fighting with a damaged race car here. Do want to take a peek at that one more time. Mix-up between Josh Adams and Ethan Sikorsky. I think that's what I'm looking for here. Should be the contact between these two. Sikorsky looking to the inside. There's the nudge. Yeah, some would question there when you look at an angle like this, when they come into this turn. Did he have the turn? Sikorsky's not clear here. And then tries to shove him. So, catches him, straightens him up. And hopefully there's no left front damage there. For the 22 with Josh Adams, who's still putting around out there in 6th. Josh Adams, who started to stretch out his lead, is sitting about 5 seconds off the lead. Needs to come up with a little more of that time. Speaking of which, our guys in the lead are out in front by 2.5 seconds over top of the rest of the field here. And it's continuing to grow. 3 drivers have retired here for the night. Bob Berry in the 75 has taken it back to the garage, as well as Brandon Jackson in the 91 and Benjamin Lacey in the number 7 have retired for tonight. Well, a couple of big names there. Going ahead and checking out. Hate seeing Benjamin Lacey. Out he goes. Caution comes back out here. Ethan Sikorsky. So Sikorsky may have had some trouble, and possibly Kevin Foster. Let's check here and see if Jackson Knott got into him. Foster gets looped. Dude, Ethan Sikorsky, I think he got punt right there. So Kevin Foster's spinning around. Coming up on the caution here. And Adams is not interested about slowing down. Sends Sikorsky to the inside. I think he was a little concerned about why the 94 was almost coming to a halt there when the caution and all cars were down on the bottom. So, little miscommunication out there. Eddie Hagge still not pitting here. So, currently I'm showing Eddie Hagge, Nick Nickerson, Jackson Knock will take 3rd. Victor Weaver not pitting since lap 100, stays out, he'll get 4th. Ethan Sikorsky sits 5th. Jonathan Platt up to now the 6th position. Kevin Foster is one of our first drivers to come back out of pit road here on lap number 141. Matt Crockett and Josh Adams as well. Logan Murray rounding out our top 10. I think that gives us 2 more drivers still mobile out there on the track. Ty Carino ended up coming down for 4 tires of fuel. And Regan Fruget, yes. Regan Fruget in the 25. Spent an extended amount of time down pit road, about 52.3 seconds down there in the box. So he spent that amount of time down there in the box. Must have been getting some repairs done. All right. Jay will work his way on around. All right. Hopefully this will be a 10-lap shootout here to the end. See Hambone out there rooting on Victor Weaver. If he can come away with the top 5, I think he'd be pretty pleased with that. All right. Here we go, back underway. Platt will be right behind him, and Platt gets into the 18. Caution does not come out. Victor Weaver probably has his hands up in the air wondering what the heck just happened. Check back in on our leaders up front here. We got a lot of Victor Weaver fans out there wondering what the heck just happened to the 18. And Nickerson overtakes the lead here. While we got a little bit of time, I'm going to take a quick peek here. What gets Victor Weaver? Ooh, wow. Okay. Yeah, I see Victor Weaver. It looks like he has dealt a black flag. And maybe too many incident points brings him down into pit road. Incident points can also be collected when the caution does come out. You hit somebody while they're stopped. That might have been what caught him up. Victor Weaver working his way back down pit yet again. He's been divvied the black flag. I don't know if he sped in the first time. He is now serving the drive-through. Alrighty, battle for the lead has fizzled out here. Nickerson is getting away. Looking to come away as our 3rd winner here in this season. Nickerson's only got a couple of laps left to go. Nickerson, Haggie, Foster. Talked to Kevin Foster a whole bunch. He's looking to talk to us one more time. Ethan Sikorsky sits 4th. Matt Crockett with a season high so far, 5th place, as the white flag is out. I don't know if anybody's got anything going on here. Looks like Crockett's going to try to see if he can set up Sikorsky here for the past couple of turns. No can do. Josh Adams is going to have to settle for 6th as Nickerson comes away with the win here for the respective bump of 150. Slew of cautions here late in the race. Jonathan Platt actually had a 10th place finish here. All right, I'll go ahead and show you guys these new, these unofficial results that we got here. Nickerson, Eddie Hagge, and Kevin Foster. Not bad there by Kevin Foster. Once again, this guy is making it happen. I don't think there's anything that's going to stop this, gentlemen. All right, Kevin Foster, we talked to you once again for another week. Talk to me about this race, man. A little bit of a messy one here toward the end.
Yeah. Cautions breed cautions. You know how that goes. But fun track. You are able to make some passes. But the thing is, though, it takes 3, 4, 5 laps to complete a pass on the inside. Luckily, we were able to get the outside working there, and I was able to drive around a few cars. A couple guys had a bad, some incidents there, and restarted, 8th with 9 laps to go, and able to bring it home P3. So overall, decent race. Nothing to complain about. The car handled great. Bill did a hell of a job on the setup here, and I'm just thankful that we finally got one of these perfect Shine Auto Spa cars in the victory lane.
Yeah, talk about crazy race though, and what you kind of mentioned a little bit, a little bit cautions breed cautions, man. But dude, there was guys fighting all over the place for position all night. You had a mirror full of Eddie Hagge, you had Josh Adams bumping and banging around with you out there, Regan Fruget out there as well. I mean, and even Brandon Jackson. I mean, dude, there were so many guys up front battling for that number 1 spot. It just makes it extremely hard when you're doing everything.
Oh, certainly does. I mean, it just shows the depth of the talent, in this league, from Nick to Platt, Curtis, the new guys, Reagan, Joshua, Jason, Eddie. Anyone can win on any given night, and that's what makes this group of guys here, so awesome that any one of us can win. And I was just thankful that we were able to sneak around a few guys, and I do want to give a shout out in a minute.
Cool. All right, go ahead and give it to us.
Victor, I know you got loose, got turned, or whatever it was there, but before that last caution there, he was definitely doing everything he could to hold me and Joshua up there. I was trying to pass him outside. Joshua was trying to pass him on the inside. But so kudos to him, and thanks Simtrax, thanks all my family, friends, wife for watching, hanging out with us, enjoying this here, and it's great to see a perfect Shine Auto Spa in victory lane. But I kind of wish it was the number 8, but I'll take it. And good night in the points. Finish ahead of Platt, so move a couple points closer to him.
Very, very close, and honestly, very odd to see Platt's not starting on the pole, not finishing, here in the top 5. Pretty crazy here. You guys are slowly marching on him inch by inch, but congratulations on a 3rd place finish there, Kevin.
All right. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Yep. All right. That does definitely do it there for Kevin Foster, but that moves us on to Eddie Hagge, man, the myth, the legend. The 97 finally gets in a podium position here. Eddie Hagge, 2nd place, almost, but no cigar. Let's start with some of the key moves here. We decided to stay out, and we had the lead. Nickerson reeling us in, bunch of cars behind us. Will we have? What do you think? What do you think about the race here tonight?
Man, it was good. I really didn't have a ton of speed. I was surprised to even be in contention at the end. I just kind of committed in the 2nd run. I was driving really hard in the 1st run, not going anywhere. And I sort of just committed in the 2nd run to try to run a little softer and go for the whole run, because it looked like the track position was what mattered. And held off Nick longer than I thought I would. I got to give him credit. He was about to pass me. He cut me a break. And yeah, that caution came out, and I forgot to call the top because I was going to run out of fuel. So I was saving fuel too much, and that might have been what cost me. But I don't know. I think he might have gotten me anyway.
If you were to roll it back, would you have pit earlier on?
No.
Really?
The only thing I would have done different is no, yeah. Because my only chance of winning, I wasn't going to pass Nick. My only chance of winning was having the track position. So I think taking the top on the restart and just seeing if those 10 laps could have gone a little better.
Okay. Well, I was going to say I was a little concerned. You were the only driver who did not pit other than at the stage.
That's what I do, Patrick. I save tire.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Save tire, but man, we got guys with a limited set of tires down here. Man, I wasn't sure with, about 30 laps left to go if you were going to bring it on in, throw a fresh set of rubber on there, and then let it rip.
No, I've tried that before. I thought today was a track position kind of day, and it was. And I just needed to run out of laps a little sooner. We needed a little shorter race.
I gotcha. All right, Eddie. Go ahead and give me your shout-outs here, buddy, from the Magathy HR Consulting Machine.
Yeah, Magathy HR Consulting late model was really good today. Really grateful for them and EP Wealth Advisors. Grateful to, I name the same people, but it's great to talk to you. I'm so sick of talking to you for second or third. I want to win again, as much as I like you, Patrick. But thankful to the Lord, for my family, my girlfriend. Just thankful to do this, have fun, and regardless of the result, it's a fun night and great way to de-stress. And I just love doing it with these guys.
Awesome. All right, Eddie. Well, congratulations, buddy. Can't wait to see what you got for us here in the future. I expect to see you in victory lane, whether it be here in the late models or if we decide to switch the cars up for another season, if there's another season. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff. But, Eddie, we hope the best for you, buddy. Great job out there, and maybe you can switch it up on these guys just a little bit.
Yeah, thank you. I'll be there soon.
Awesome. Thank you, buddy.
All right.
All right, everybody, that is Eddie Hagge. As we continue to kind of root around out here and talk to these guys out there, we battle bots constantly. Well, we see Nickerson out there battling out there on the track. I battle bots. We talk about out here. Nick, this track, these cautions, your pit strategy, we talked to you for a third time here tonight. We'll keep it short and sweet. Do you think you had Eddie Hagge dead to rights with you pitting on lap 100?
I mean, not necessarily, because I know when I tried to take tires earlier in the race, I noticed that it didn't seem like new tires made that big of a difference. It was just marginally better. But man, like, if that last yellow didn't come out, I don't think I would have been able to pass Eddie. It was just so difficult to find a line that allowed me to stay on the throttle the entire time. I was always kind of having to check up to not run into the leader, and I couldn't throw it into the outside to try to get on his outside for the exit, and he was doing like a good job of just like putting his car in like the worst place possible for me. And so that was tough, and I think kind of fell short by giving me the outside on that restart, but guess you live and learn, and all in all, pretty fun race, I think.
Yeah, he was also considering the same thing if the outside line might have just been the dagger that kind of took him out there. When this entire season so far has been nothing but hardship, heartache, tempers out there on the track. Jonathan Platt finishes in 10th. You come in the number one spot. This has got to be feeling pretty good when we start looking at when we start running in for the points, things like that. I know you missed a race here, but everything's starting to kind of really crunch up here when we've got you now as our third winner here of the season, Curtis Yancey last week. I mean, this has been really a flip-flop here of what we've seen for the first 5 races.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine Platt and I are kind of head-to-head now because I missed a race, he missed a race. He had kind of a crappy finish tonight. I know one crappy finish where my teammate spun me on the last corner of the last lap. And I ended up in the pits, and I got a penalty for speeding in the pits. So he should be pretty head-to-head. I mean, I feel like pretty even, and, it's game on from here.
Boy, what a run this was here tonight. Now, we kind of take a look at the schedule, and we got a lot of things happening here. As of late. So we raced here at New Smyrna, dude. And I've got to say, when I kind of wind back a little bit and say, okay, well, that's that race. We moved to North Wilkesboro Speedway next week. Is that North Carolina track? Are you going to be able to handle that tonight?
I don't know. I wonder if we're running the new or the old version.
I would assume the old version. That's what I would assume. But
yeah,
you know what happens.
Either way, it doesn't matter. I mean, one short track's the same as the other, so it's just, not really, but I'm sure I'll do fairly decent. Hopefully, I can beat Platt and gain a couple points. every race up until the end of the season and just see how it plays out.
All righty, Nick. Shout out time.
Yeah, just Bill and Kevin, admins, all these guys that participate. I'm surprised we still have this quite a good turnout this late in this season. And perfect shine auto spa, of course. And appreciate you doing the broadcast, man.
Oh yeah, not a problem, man. Not a problem. I would say you got plenty of a turnout here. You're getting some new faces as well, Mr. Fruget out there. We also had Josh Adams, Ty Carino. I mean, there's plenty of guys out there. Pretty excited to see how all these guys work out and see if you can keep this winning streak alive. Congratulations on your finish tonight, buddy, and we'll see you next week.
I appreciate it, man. Take care.
See you, Nick. All right, everybody, that's going to do it for Nick Nickerson. What a race he ran here tonight, and what a blast it was. Definitely seemed to have his work cut out for him week in and week out. Now, I will say out there, the bots are ridiculous. I haven't had those since probably the 30th race I called, and we finally got rid of those things. And this one does not catch all the key words out there, so we may be fixing some of that. Seeing that apparently my mom was on the menu, I suppose. But that's going to do it for us here at Simtrax Broadcasting. We'll be finding you again next Wednesday at North Wilkesboro Speedway. Until then, be well, be safe, be kind. We'll see all you guys next time.